It's been an amazing day. So what I've been doing today as I've been working is watching some streams. And I was switching back and forth today between Krugen, Black Boa, and Tangent. And I've just got to say, like, it's been a very encouraging day. It's been a very encouraging day. And you know, I don't know. It's one of those things. Any of you that have ever, you know, worked on something, you put it out there, and it's like it's hard to believe. And today was just another one of the days when we launched EA. It was one of those days I've had multiple times throughout, you know, since we launched EA, of having days like this. But I'm just feeling it freshly right now, so I'm kind of reflecting on it with you. But it was just one of those days where it was like, wow, like people really get it, like they're really getting it, like they're feeling it, and what's been so amazing to me is seeing not only the game resonating with, you know, kind of our primary target audience, which is, you know, people that are longing and aching for that classic MMORPG again. But seeing it resonate also with, like, I don't know, like maybe people really are. Have we really reached the point where people are starting to, like, push away from the desk and say, like, why am I playing these modern MMOs? Like, what is this really offering me? And as I'm seeing people play and they're commenting on, like, wow, this is so immersive. Wow, like, nighttime's really dark. I love it. This is really scary. I don't have a map. Like, and what's so funny about the map, guys, is, like, we've always planned to have a map. We've always planned to have a top-down, no GPS, no, you know, here's you marker or anything like that. No mini map or anything like that. But we've always planned to have just kind of a static top-down topographical map. And we still do. You know, I haven't changed my mind on that, at least yet. But I'm loving, like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like a teenage girl right now. I'm saying the word like so much. It is as if the things that we have believed in, the things that you all have believed in, the stuff that really makes an MMORPG special, it's as if that's true, you know? It's one of those days where it's like, okay, it's true. And, you know, I've always, and it's just amazing, like, you know, because there's a lot of jank still in Pantheon. There's a lot of jank. There's a lot of stuff that's not finished or even present. Like, and it's like I expected a reasonable population of people to be able to overlook that and find joy in playing it and enjoy it, but not like this, you know. And so it's just been really encouraging. And I hope that you guys are encouraged, because as I've been watching the streams today, I've been thinking quite a bit about, like, you know, because I think about you guys a lot, and I say you guys as just like the player base, like the broader player base, the people that are, you know, playing the game. I think about you guys a lot, and I think about how I've felt before with MMOs and just games in general. And there's always that sense of, like, when you really get into a game, there's this natural desire to want other people to get into it too. And it's this interesting feeling of, like, when you get it, when it clicks and you get it and you're like, man, I wish other people could see this. I wish other people could feel this and understand this. And days like today, like, are really encouraging to me for you guys as well, because what I also want to see is more and more people getting it as a validation for those of you who have already gotten it, and to see more and more people kind of come in and come on board. And I'll try to end it here, but the last thing I'll say is it's also really encouraging for the genre as a whole, because if the destiny of Pantheon, as troubled as our path has been up until this point, and as the road that we still have to go, if the destiny of Pantheon is to be in some ways a linchpin for like making the path easier for other games of this kind to come along and find traction, then that's also really encouraging. So it's just been a good day. It's been a really good day. Very fun. Kungan's stream was really cool to watch, because I think today was his first. I think this was, well, no, maybe it wasn't his first. I think it was, I know he hasn't been playing it much. I don't know if he streamed it before now or not, but he's, and it's significant, right? Like, I mean, Kungan's somebody that's got 300,000 followers on Twitch. So whenever you see someone who has established that kind of community, and not in a sponsored way, like just trying out the game and loving it, it's really encouraging. So I would if you think about it, give that VOD a watch, because it was really cool. It was just really cool to see. And I don't know much about Kungan. I know a little bit. Like, I think he was it nihilism or nihilist or nihilum or something like that? I think. I know he was a big EQ player back in the day, I think he was a guild leader. I think he was a guild leader in both. I think he was the guild leader of nihilist or nihilism. Nihilum. That's what it is. Got it. Yeah. Some world firsts. So he's invested a ton of time in EQ, a ton of time in WoW, and it was just really cool. It was very validating that we're so far so good. Like, we're striking that balance well. He was the server first level 50 on P99 Red as Lovely, a Dark Elf wizard. That's so cool. Wow, yeah. So I mean, true legend status. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Klepto, thank you so much for the Prime. Fierce Gaming, thank you as well for the Prime. Appreciate that very much. P. Griffo, Zachary, and KJ Freshly, thank you for the follows. Thank you for being here. Klepto, you're so welcome. Yeah, it's our honor and our joy. Believe me. So cool. Gareth says, I want to get it. I just find so much of it disheartening to play between gacha group mobs, in with the non-group stuff, and trying to recover the experience grinding green or light blue mobs. I lose the excitement to log in. Maybe it just isn't the game for me. Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this, Gareth. What made you play Pantheon for the first time? Like, what got you into it? Was it your own volition? Did you see somebody playing it? Curious. Hey, thank you, KJ. Appreciate that. But just know, please, this would not exist without you guys. Like, and that's like, don't hear that as a sappy throwaway statement. Like, that's just true. That is just true. So you're welcome, but thank you as well. Friends playing wanted me to join them. Okay, so that's good context. So yeah, you're coming into a game. I don't know what your gaming background is. And it's important to say that not every game is for everybody. You're in there, you're giving it a try. What I'm finding again and again with Pantheon, which I think is just really curious, and I don't know if it's something unique to Pantheon or if it's more unique to like this kind of genre or style of MMO. But what I'm finding is that it seems like there are these moments that are different for different people when it clicks. And not saying it is going to click for everybody, but for some people, it's when they grouped for the first time. That's when it clicked. For some people, it was getting lost. And this kind of moment of like, I have no idea where I'm going or what to do. And frustration and kind of like raised eyebrow gives way to like, wait, I actually kind of like this. Like, I'm actually in a world, and I'm having to kind of learn and pay attention where I'm going. That's when it clicked for some people. For some people, it clicked the first moment where maybe for the first time in years they had felt a sense of fear or genuine like trepidation about a situation they were in, and they maybe haven't felt that, in an MMO in ages. For some people, it was, I'm actually talking to people in the game. Like I'm having social interactions on a level and a consistency that I haven't maybe ever experienced before or haven't felt in a long time. And the list goes on. And so I would say it's possible that the game isn't for you, but it's also possible that that moment hasn't happened yet. Now, as I say that, part of it's our fault because one of the most important parts of the progression of your character in this game and in games like this is growing stronger such that you can better handle lower level NPCs. And we are days away from getting that in. So my suggestion to you, Garas, number one, think about consider maybe trying a different class. Part of what it's true in Pantheon and it's true of games of this genre that we're not going for surgical equilibrium or balance between the classes when it comes to solo or it comes to various things. So Warrior, for example, is a fantastic group tank and group contributor. But solo, I know on the Warrior is kind of tough right now. There are some other classes that do a really good job solo. And if that's something that you think you would enjoy, then I would suggest maybe giving one of those classes a try. And then this coming Wednesday, the patch that we're putting out this coming Wednesday will have, I'll wait. I think we've got ads going on. Ads. Curious about why some gray mobs aggro and others do not. Can you provide some info on that? Are they aggroing? Are you sure that they're all like aggressive NPCs? Hold on, I need to send a message to a team member really quick. Okay. All right, cool. Kelrenath with the Prime sub. Thank you so much, Kelrenath. Select FX with the tier 1 and the 2 months of support. Thank you, Select. Really appreciate that. Twin Dad Nerd. Thank you, fellow dad. Thank you for the Prime sub. Joskar with the Prime and the 6 months of support. Thank you so much, Joskar. Appreciate that, my friend. Instinct Acuity with the Prime as well. Thank you so much for the Prime sub. So Geras, I stopped there because of the ads. Yeah, and I totally get that. You're a warrior at heart. It's the class that you want to be. You don't want to make an alt. I get all that, and that's a very fair and reasonable stance to take and approach to take. And so, what I was going to say is, if you wanted to potentially give another class a try, just to experience what it's like, to be able to solo a little bit more effectively, and then kind of have your primary and secondary character, that may be a way, at least, to try it out and see if that changes how you feel a bit. But the other thing I was going to say is, this coming Wednesday, with the patch this coming Wednesday, we're going to implement so right now, when you out-level something, it's pretty common understanding with these games where if something's lower level than you, it's going to get progressively weaker, right? Like, if you're fighting something a level or 2 below you, you should feel, a little bit of an advantage. If you're fighting something that's 3 or 4 levels, 5 or 6, 7, 8 levels below you, as it gets further and further down, you should expect, like, and I noticed it on Krugen's stream earlier today, that he was fighting like some gray NPCs, and at one point he made the comment like, man, these guys are hitting hard. and that's the way it is right now, because NPCs have no penalty versus you, no matter how much lower level they are. That's coming Wednesday, and that will make a significant difference in opening the door for soloing to be more viable for some of the classes that it's already not as viable for, and could potentially open the door for group NPCs once they're, down in the light blue and green territory, to be potentially soloable depending on the class. Again, you may never be able to solo, a warrior may never be able to solo as well as a necro or a shaman or something like that, but and we're okay with that. Like, that's kind of by design in a way, but there should be a little bit more of an option that opens up to you once that patch comes out. It won't feel as bad as it does now. Hey, Halter, it's good to see you, my friend. It's hard to pull as the tank in the caves without being able to equip a torch. Yeah, I know. That's another really big change that I think is going to make the game as a whole feel so much better, when you don't have to hold a torch. As long as you've got it in your inventory, it should provide its light. So that's coming too. I don't have an ETA for that one yet, though. EQ Monk, yes, it will. It will. Yes, Necros can solo. Yes, they can. They can solo very well. And the higher level they get, the stronger they get. Like, in a uniquely serious way with Necros. Well, see, the thing about Necro pets is that they can become so powerful because of how you can equip them. If we buff Necro pets at a base level, and then you're able to, equip them with statted gear up and down. I know people that have, gotten their Necro pets up to like 300 AC through gear. It's a little crazy. Now, am I saying that they don't need, I'm not saying that they don't need to be looked at. I'm not saying that they don't need work at all. Well, the good thing about having the good thing about being able to have light coming from your inventory without having to hold it is that, you know, number one, it doesn't take up an inventory slot. Number two, the plan right now is to make torches and other like lanterns and various things like that all essentially have a duration before they burn out. And so there is an element of upkeep there if you're going to be actively using a light source. And then the goal of, you know, leveling up your light source, finding a better light source is that, you know, you would find one that doesn't deplete, whether that's an equipped, like whether you have an item that you've equipped that has light or it's a special light source. Kind of like, remember EQ? Of course you remember EQ, guys. What am I saying? You remember in EQ when you could loot a greater lightstone, a lightstone, and then a burned out lightstone? So there's a little hint there about how to handle some of these things and that they can burn out. Now, the cool thing about that, though, in true RPG form, is that doesn't mean that there's not a lightstone that exists that doesn't burn out. But the idea is more that in the lower level game, that light sources would be more of an upkeep type thing. And that leaves room for class abilities like Mage Light, like Brightfire Sap, some of these other things that are, you know, allow for light sources to be cast on players. It leaves room for those types of things to be meaningful. Setting yourself on fire, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Instinct Acuity, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Appreciate that. Garrus, thank you so much for the Prime sub, man. Appreciate that very much. Deldrin with the tier 1 sub, thank you. Wise Heathen with the tier 1, thank you as well. Thank you so much, guys. Any updates to changes in the reliability of Feign Death? Not yet. Other than it's not good. It needs to be improved dramatically. Yes, scythes are going to be their own weapon type. Yes. Could you make it so class abilities stack on Torchlight? We can, but one of the things we want to do long term with light sources is actually have like a priority system. We don't want light sources to be able to stack too much because it ends up blowing out the lighting and getting way too bright. So ideally, on the client side anyway, whatever's strongest would be the thing that shows. And the idea there is, let's say Mage Light, for example, is stronger than a basic torch. If somebody casts Mage Light on you, then you just put the torch in a bag and don't use it because you don't need it, instead of having them both stack. I think it's going to help quite a bit with managing, because darkness is a big theme in this game, and being able to manage darkness is, you know, aesthetically part of what we want to do too. We want, you know, improved eyesight, naturally better low light vision, things like that some of the races will have, certain abilities and items will provide. We want those things to matter. So the more we allow stacking of light sources, the less like desirable some of those other things are. Can we have a large gas bat mount later on? No flying, of course. Ground mount hovering. No? Okay, but think about it. I will. Gas bats are one of my favorites as well. I don't necessarily see that being out of the question. As long as it's not flying, if it's a ground hover mount. We do plan to have a taming system later on where mounts, certain animals, certain NPCs can be tamed and become mounts. It's a lot of people give me give me beef about this, but I don't care because I'm my own person and I'm going to be proud of my inspirations. I love Breath of the Wild. It's, you know, if you've played Pantheon and if you've climbed anything in Pantheon, you've played Breath of the Wild, you can probably feel where some of that inspiration comes from. The gliding that we plan to have in the game, the gliders, also very inspired by Breath of the Wild. But one of the most impactful moments for me from that game was taming a horse for the first time. And the idea that I'm just running around in the world, I see some horses and I can go tame one and ride it. And then, you know, turn it into a pet, a mount, essentially. So that whole thing really intrigues me. So, gas bats. Yeah. I would be prepared for some motion sickness, though, with their little flappy waps. Merrick Winterson, hey Joppa, early pledger here, immediately post Kickstarter. Wow, loving the game. Keep up the good work. That is so cool to hear, Merrick. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. OG in the house. Yeah, we did we did decide to forego the slippery rain mechanic. The hut's in a different graphic style. They are in terms of the stone, and yes, the stone will be updated. This is a placeholder texture compared to like the Hangor stone. These are kind of our quintessential orc huts. We want to do something similar with like EQ, where every time you see, you know, these kind of structures, you can instinctively know, oh, there's orcs here. But then we, you know, obviously want to change some of the coloring and materials and whatnot. But yeah, we need an updated stacked stone. Not to brag, Jayhawk says, not to brag, but I just got hired as a fitness model. They used me as the before picture. Thank you, Jayhawk. Yeah. Bolusden, our enchanter's going to have a haze puff at some point? Yes. Yeah, Jadion has convinced me. You can thank Jadion. It's going well. Malkel, yeah. That stuff will be in Wednesday's patch as well. The most needed feature for Pantheon, hear me out, Ogre jiggle physics. What do you think, chat? Do you agree? Ogre jiggle physics? Ogre jiggle physics. Okay. That would elevate it to the next level. Got it. Yeah, I was gonna pick up where we left off yesterday with the storyline and the perception stuff, and I'm not planning on streaming for as long today. And since it's a little bit later, I just decided to do something a little more cozy, just kind of a little bit of world building and chatting, and then I'm gonna stream again tomorrow, closer to the normal time, and we'll pick it back up tomorrow. Obsidian, thank you for the 100 bits. You said, I wish the summoner had that same option. I don't remember the context of that. What were we talking about? Hey, Black Boa, thank you so much for the raid, man. Thank you. I don't know if you were here for it earlier, but I was telling chat right at the beginning of the stream that I've spent most of my time today kind of jumping back and forth between yours, Krugen's, and Tangent streams, and it's been really encouraging day. Just, kind of checking in and listening in. But and I'm just, it was really cool to see the excitement for the PvP stuff that's coming, and I'm getting progressively more and more hyped for just how many in the community are really, I think, looking forward to that. I think probably more than I even expected, honestly. So it's gonna be interesting for sure. Interesting and brutal. A PvP server means myself and a friend will be buying the game soon. Yeah, right on. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? So. True. It's been like, I know PvP is a thing for a lot of people. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that play PvP or dabble in PvP, whatever. But I think even for me, it was it kind of lost on me, like how, I mean, it's just been a long time since there's been a like classic PvP sandbox. It's been a long time. And I miss it. I mean, for whatever reason, the majority of my time in EQ, the most time I ever spent in EQ on any given server, playing any given character, was on Sullen Zack. And, that kind of stuff marks you, you know what I mean? Optional PvP is the best PvP. That I truly agree with. And just in case it needs to be said, please know, PvP in Pantheon is 100% optional. So much so that it is relegated to its own server. You will never, ever have to engage in PvP and Pantheon if you do not want to. Period. Full stop. Flipsword, thank you so much for the Prime. Thank you for the 25 bits, Obsidian. I wish the Summoner Pet had the ability to equip player armor and weapons because the Summoner stuff aren't that good. My Earth Pet can get up to 285 AC, while I had Necro Friends pets get to 385 AC and hit for more damage. Yep. So, here's the deal, guys. And I should probably just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off now. The Necromancer Pet was never intended to be able to equip anything and everything. That was never the intention. In fact, the Necromancer Pet was meant to be even more constrained than the Summoner Pet is. You were meant to be able to put weapons and any weapons you wanted to on the Necromancer Pet, but you were not meant to put any armor. We will be moving back in that direction. Now, what I understand, like, you know, these things happen. It was not intentional, but it's been that way for long enough. People are really enjoying it. So we have two options. We can either walk it back completely and just say, nope, we're going to go with our original plan. No armor for Necropets, only weapons. Or we can, implement some way of constraining how powerful, how much stats are able, caps essentially on how much benefit the pets can get from certain things at certain levels. In order to try and keep that loop, keep that metagame for the Necro, but keep pets from being able to become just absolutely, totally out of their minds OP. But I just want to rip that Band-Aid off to say, like, you know, they're not intended to be these, you know, fully geared out monsters. So just expect changes to come to that, okay? Don't be surprised. You're sad now. The good news, though, on the flip side, the good news is that will mean in compensation, Necropets will need, you know, some bumps to power. And it also, you know, you guys, most of you are still pretty low level on your Necros now, and so you're not, like, Necropets do become more powerful over time, and then once you get high enough level, they actually branch off into 3 potential pet types: a caster pet, a tank pet, and a rogue pet, that have unique visuals and unique abilities and things like that. So they're, you know, the Necropets definitely improve, and with this change to how they're able to be geared, you know, we'll make some adjustments there as well. In fact, one of the main reasons we're not doing anything with Necropets right now is because of how powerful they're capable of getting with the gear that they're able to wear. So just just trying to set some expectation there. The goal is for Necros to be, you know, in a good place. We'll get there. Yeah, yeah. We'll let you know. Elven Necromancers. Yes, when the Ashen Elves come online, you'll be able to make an Ashen Elf Necromancer. The only elves you can choose right now are Ember Elves, even though that's not stated. It just calls them elves, but you can actually choose between the Ember and the Ashen Elf, and they are very different. And once the Ashen Elf comes online, you'll be able to make an Elven Necromancer. I don't know, Jay. I'm not going to confirm that yet. Is the lack of robe style cloth armor for now related to clipping while running, adjustments needed and stuff like that? Would love to see some robes. It may sound silly, but I miss the classic wizard look. No, it doesn't sound silly at all. I feel that too, and that's actually pretty consistent feedback that I get as well. So the answer is we are going to have classic style robes, even if they look silly. Like even if there are clipping issues, is what I mean, because I want to see them as well, and I really want to get more color into our caster robes. I mean, I kind of liked. It's funny in EQ because when you started, you know, depending on your class, like you had a colorful robe, green or pink or blue, and then like once you got your first like raw silk robe or whatever the kind of the low level robe was, it was all very drab, you know, colors after that. I always thought that was interesting. But it was cool to be able to kind of tell from the start, like, oh, that's a wizard. Oh, that's an enchanter with their yellow robe or whatever. So that was kind of cool. So yes to the traditional robe look, and also wanting to see more color in general. If you're ever in a position where you are world building in a video game and you are making paths, always make your paths snake. Always make your path snake. That was a lesson that I was taught by our lead concept artist, who was amazing at composition, scene composition. And he used to drill that into me. Like, I can't do his accent. He had a South African accent. It's Jared, my buddy Jared. Such a good guy. He'd always drill that into me. Make sure that your path snake, brother. Oops. Well, we get to loot an item on the PvP server. So the rule set for PvP is Wild West, free-for-all, uncurated. So I want to say that first. It is, and that's when I was referring to Sullen Zeke earlier. That's kind of what I was getting at there. Sullen Zeke was if I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, it was very like, it's kind of a novel server approach where the staff was just like, hey, you know, don't bother petitioning, don't bother reporting, like, aside from like harassment or, you know, blatant harassment, kind of like anything like that. When it comes to like in-game disputes or whatever, it's like we're not getting involved. And that's kind of how it's going to be here. For the sake of genuinely creating an uncurated open world sandbox experience, where, you know, players are the ones that are going to decide how things go and how they react to things. And again, you know, obviously we're not going to condone any abusive behavior or harassment, anything like that. But when it comes to like actual in-game disputes over this, like contested content, means of attaining goals, you know, that's all for the server to decide. You think that's an awful way of addressing toxicity? Are you talking about what I'm describing with the Wild West rule set? Wow, guys, we hit another follower goal. That's so cool. Hold on, let me... manage my goals here. Let me manage my goals here. Let's see. Okay. Cool. Beautiful. Thank you for all the follows, by the way, guys. Huskatan, thank you for the Prime sub. Cantan, Wanky McTugger, thank you for the Prime. Thank you, Anonymous Gifter, for the 1 gifted. That is very cool. Thank you for the tier 1 gifted. And Shaozen, thank you as well for the Prime sub. Thank you all so much for the support. Very appreciated. Shaozen, SC, No Face, Alien, Zorpion, Juge Barbecue, Lavender Cass, Raven, Shinra Hero, and Iron Wayfarer. Thank you all for the follows. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, the idea is not to... So, just to say a little bit more on the PvP server stuff, this is not the only kind of PvP servers we're going to have. It's the kind we're going to do first because it's the least resource intensive. We don't want to take any resources away from kind of the core game development. So we want but there is just such a significant population of people who are aching for a classic open world PvP sandbox, and so we want to answer that call. But you know, down the road, like there will be other PvP type rule sets that are more curated, that are more, you know, less hardcore, things like that. But we're just making a unique kind of game that really lends itself to a very hardcore Wild West rule set, and it's expected that there's going to be some toxicity. I mean, that's kind of the expectation. So nothing's really being done to try and, again, other than like harassment and, you know, things that, you know, really have no place anywhere, regardless of what the server rule set is. Other than those things, the goal is to create an environment where, you know, players are truly able to kind of define for themselves how things are going to go. And the nature of it being in PvP is that in that kind of setting, the power can be won and maintained in ways that are unique to that kind of a server experience. So anyway, to answer the question I initially wanted to answer, which is about the loot rules, it's going to have a plus and minus 5 level rules of engagement. So you'll be able to attack somebody only if they are within 5 levels below you or above you. There will be player loot. You will not be able to loot any equipped gear. You won't be able to like take someone's chest piece or weapon out of their hand or anything like that. But you'll be able to loot coin and their general inventory. So anything in their bags, anything in their general inventory, you will be able to take. And then the idea that I'm playing with, you won't be able to take the bags. The bags, mainly because of how our bags are coded, how all that stuff is set up. You won't be able to actually rip the bags. So, but you can open the bags. The way the interface works for looting a player is you can open their bags and take things out of the containers. If they have bags inside of their bags, you can loot those, but you can't loot the main inventory bags. And then the idea that I'm considering is whether or not to do experience loss on PvP death and experience gain on PvP kill. The first time that I mentioned that, I've gotten a considerable amount of feedback that may not be the best idea. And some of it has to do, honestly, with the way that Pantheon is set up. So right now in Pantheon, when you bind at bind stones, and those are all well-known locations. So the biggest issue you would maybe run into is, like on Sullen, I remember I was on the neutral team. I remember running through East Corona. There was an Ixar monk on the evil team bound under the bridge that connected East Corona with North Corona. No, East Corona with North. Yes, North Corona. Forgot South and East connected to North. But that big bridge that connected East Corona and North Corona was bound underneath that. And I remember running through with some guildies and hearing or seeing combat spam, and went and looked, and this group of neutral team had found this Ixar monk's bind spot, and they were literally, respawn camping him and de-leveled that Ixar from level 55 all the way down to level 51 before they came back to the computer. It was absolutely brutal. You guys know, like, level 55 to level 51, losing that is, yeah, I'm not sure what happened to that poor Ixar. But that's, now, so being bind camped, that's one of the things that we need to figure out. And that's one of the mechanics that, like, I think the easiest thing to do would just be to play some guards around the bind spots, and those guards are allied with the player races, so that any attack should elicit a response from those guards. But yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, it's gonna be intense, guys. So just be ready. I'm not sure, Jay. Yeah, hold on to your butts is right. Some serious clampage. Gloth Drogan, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. And thank you for the 2 months of support. Worth listening to you discuss. If any other devs do it, let us know. Roger that. Z, thank you for the prime. Hey, Bacon. Thank you for the tier 1 and the 8 months of support. I have a few things to discuss when you get some time. That sounds very much like I need to see you in my office kind of a statement. Should I be nervous? Yeah. Yeah, Zeldrain, there eventually it will be possible to change your crafting profession. The current coin system is very much just a stopgap to limit people from being able to do everything at once. Unfortunately, right now it comes with the side effect of being kind of a permanent thing, but that's not always going to be the case. We do plan to have surnames, and as of right now, the plan is to have them unlock the same way they did in EQ, as a prestige mechanism once you reach a certain level. I'm not going to say what that level is going to be yet. It could be 20, just like in EQ. We might make it a little higher than that. It'll be at least level 20. And then you'll just have a command, like a /surname command, where you can set what you want your surname to be, and it will it'll go through the typical name filters, and then it'll be good to go. But absolutely plan to use that as a prestige mechanism. We also plan to have spell growth, like spell effect growth, as a mechanism for prestige as well. So the higher level you get, the little bit fancier your spells will become and how they look. And yes, before anyone asks, will there be options to turn spell effects off? Yes, there will. Or to, tone down the opacity of them and things like that. But yeah. Those prestige moments were real, guys. I mean, I remember, I still remember, like, being in Khazak-Thul and, like, seeing a druid and a necromancer for the first time, like, casting buffs and stuff in that zone. It's like, that looks really different. That looks real different. And very cool. No shards on PvE servers. Yeah. So I talked to Sam about that yesterday. And hey, Hexotic, thank you so much for the raid. Thank you so much. Welcome in. No, Zaylin, we are actually building the game. Exotic Mod, you too. Thank you. Thank you for the well wishes. This is a pretty chill stream, though. It's a little bit later in the day for me, so I'm kind of chilling. I like to do world building stuff later in the day. It's just a little bit more, just relaxing. Not a lot of data entry, not typing in a bunch of numbers and checking a bunch of tables and things like that. So it's nice. The idea with this area is, and you guys have already seen me, working in this area down in here where you've got these little intermittent kind of orc bonfires and things like that along the way. This is the area that runs in between Avenger's Pass and connects to Silent Plains. And these are all meant to be like solo small group orc populations down in here in the like level 16 to 20 level range, where there's currently kind of a pain point gap progression wise. But then up here on this ledge above it, where I'm placing these huts, these are actually going to be group or elite NPC orcs, and it's going to be a really nice kind of test case to see solo content and group content of the same nature being kind of right next to each other. The goal being that players that are hoping to get into groups in this area can have a way to, be down here and be getting some stuff done, and then, join a group right near them and kind of fold right into that. And yeah, they'll have the same gear and itemization that we've been doing on the other NPCs as well, for sure. PvP shards. Yeah, okay. Thank you. I have ADHD as a tag for a reason. Edrzikski, thank you so much for the Prime sub and the 3 months of support. I talked to Sam about that yesterday, and because it hit me, I was like, we can't do sharding because people are just going to be avoiding PvP and server jumping, and you're going to see people shard jumping to get away from PvP, shard jumping to chase each other. And of course, in natural Sam fashion, his first response was, well, we can't do that. I was like, wait a second. And that's kind of how it goes. That's kind of how it goes with Sam. He's a great guy, highly intelligent, very skilled, very analytical, very logical. But he doesn't like surprises. And so we're a good foil to one another, because I like surprising people with, oh yeah, by the way, the server sharding that we have set up for all of our servers, and how everything's kind of built to work and operate around that. Well, we can't do that for these PvP servers. Okay, thanks, bye. You know what I mean? So he's thinking about it. Like he's working through it. Well, we do plan to have multiple PvP servers, but the way that they're set up is to kind of create shards of themselves when the population gets too high. And when there are multiple shards that exist, you can log out and log back in on a different shard of the same server with your character and effectively move between. So, I mean, this is what you can do right now on the PvE servers. And it, yeah. You don't think so, Jindashi? I think there might be. I think there might be. But we'll see. But again, the point here being for us is that, this is not a lift. Back when we were doing the 247 testing, that's, this was a little over a year ago now. We actually built out, PvP for the game, built out a lot of different things. And so it is, it's just kind of flipping the switches on and bringing the servers up. And we're going to try to give, we're going to try to give as much heads up as we can, at least a 2-week heads up, once we know for sure when it's going to happen. Give everybody a chance to prepare. Interestingly enough, it's not going to include dueling. It will be a little while before we get dueling in place, because the way that we have PvP set up right now and what's going to allow us to do it quickly is that it's based on like a server rule set, like an overriding server rule set. And that's what determines whether players are flagged to be able to attack one another or not. So it would take additional like coding time to support a duel command. But we will have one. Just not Not in the near future. Oblivious Pansy Fan, thank you so much for the gifted sub. Right now, PvP will probably start when the death penalty kicks in. We'll probably tie it to that. So no, it won't start right at level 1 right out of the gate. Let's see. Ladrid. I don't know if this has been brought up. I've noticed what I could only figure is NPC conversations. The first one scrolled as a completely dark covered text that couldn't make out any of the conversation. The next one I saw pass was picked up from a roaming NPC in Avelia. The dark had just lighted enough for me to make out half the conversation that she was having with something about bards. Nani? I'm not sure I understand. Badgered. Nicklo LaFay. Yes, this orc camp will come in with next week's patch. And that means like with its itemization and with the solo and the elite, versions of the orcs and all that. So it will come. I mean, will it still be work in progress? I mean, I guess technically you could say that because there might be some tweaks that we need to make to it, but it will come in a state where I will be moving on from it. There's not going to be any more additional work that I need to do. And yeah, it will have some named NPCs in here. Yeah, this orc camp is meant to be in the level 16 to 20 range. Hey, one sec, guys. Sorry. Can we keep the nighttime 8 hours long? Progression. I'll come back to that progression question in a sec. Kalubis, the question about ultra low pop servers. We are looking, I should say the tech team is looking at potential consolidation and what that would look like. I don't have like a firm answer or time frame on that just yet, but I would say for now, hold tight. And hopefully we'll have some info on that soonish. For now, hold tight. I mean, do whatever you want, but that's yeah. So the question was asked about progression, and in the context of like, what is progression meant to look like at higher level? Is it all planned to be like vertical progression? Is there any horizontal progression? I've answered this question a few times in different ways over the years. I'm curious what you guys, like when you guys think of horizontal progression, what does that mean to you? To me, and I'll go ahead and answer so you don't think I'm just waiting to hear your answer. To me, it means anything that's not related to direct, like gaining of levels or increasing in power through itemization. Like that is kind of in my mind, the quintessential vertical vertical progression. So when I hear that question, I'm hearing someone ask, hey, once you run out of levels to gain, or if you're not even worried about levels to gain, once you run out of gear to get, what else is there? But how do you guys define it? NutDB, I don't know. I honestly do not know. I would say never hesitate to send in an application. Never hesitate to send in an inquiry. Go ahead and do that. I am still waiting. The question's been asked a few times in the streams last few days, like, hey, are you guys going to be hiring, based on how EA has gone or is going? And my answer is always, I freaking hope so. It's not ultimately my decision to make, and I'm not in every one of those conversations. So I too am waiting to hear, definite, like the intention of everyone is to grow and want to grow. I'm waiting to hear on timeline. I'm waiting to hear on things like timeline, budget, stuff like that. So I would say, yes, please go ahead, and if you have interest, send it in and at least get it on file. And then I can answer that question differently once I have more information. Horizontal getting gear, vertical gaining levels. Well, see, that's an interesting way to think about it, because like for me, I think getting gear can be both. And I'll give you an example. Like getting a DPS upgrade as a rogue, getting a better dagger as a rogue is what I would call vertical progression. Increases your DPS, makes you stronger in your role. Getting a glider. Are we in ads right now? I'm a pro streamer, so I know when we're in ads. But are we in ads? Are the people who are seeing ads and can't hear me, can they tell me if we're in ads? And the people who are subbed and don't see ads, can you tell me if we're in ads? Doesn't that work? That works great. Yeah, so getting a glide. So what I was saying is itemization. I saw itemization mentioned as a horizontal progression mechanic. And I think it can be both. I think itemization can be vertical if it's like a direct upgrade to make you stronger in your role. So a rogue getting an upgraded dagger is definitely a vertical progression moment. But getting a glider, completing, an epic quest to unlock your first like item glider is what I would consider horizontal progression. It's not needed. It's not, I say it's not needed. There'll probably be some like raids and other things that, maybe do use gliding as kind of a keying mechanism, the ability to glide. In fact, I take that back completely. There is one thing I know of that requires either a glider or another form of like special movement alteration that we haven't talked about yet, to get to it. So I guess I could walk that back, but you know what I mean? Like there's itemization that's more about like, it would be cool to be able to do this. Illusion items, being able to turn yourself into, a ratkin as an illusion is not a vertical progression itemization thing. So I see itemization as definitely having plenty of things in the game that you have to spend time and work to collect, accomplish, achieve for a cool item that's like more of a cosmetic related item, more related to, like mount taming or, and when I say cosmetic, I mean something like, being able to, like an illusion. So I think that's a big part of horizontal itemization. And so that's one answer to the question. What kind of horizontal itemization? The cool thing about Pantheon, in my opinion, and I would say to a larger degree, the cool thing about classic MMOs like EQ and the ones that we are inspired by is that there's this kind of, because there's not this like intensity of needing everything to be like surgically balanced. We're not looking for like esport level balance. Like the fact that you can climb everything, for example, that creates some pretty janky like cheese. And I'm okay with that to an extent. Like there's a limit. There's a point where it gets too much, too cheesy, too breaking. But that's kind of the point. Like the fact that you can climb everything means you can approach things in different ways than you would if you could only run around. There's a little bit of like looseness, a little bit of rule breaking, and gliding is kind of the same way. And so that allows us to create itemization, create abilities, to create certain things in the game that you want to hunt for and find, because it opens the world to you in these really cool ways that allow you to do things that are kind of like, wow. A great example, and this is one of the moments that I loved from Krugen's stream earlier today, was it was I hope somebody clipped it, but it was his first time in the Goblin Caves. He moved to the part of the Goblin Caves where, for those of you that have been in there, there's that like hole in the ceiling where those crystals are around. And at first you're thinking, oh, and like climb up there and see what's up there, but you realize there's no way to climb up there. Now, there is a way to get up there. Was it Kungen or Krugen? Do I keep saying the wrong name? Please tell me I'm not saying the wrong name.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So, Kungen, from Kungen's stream, but that hole in the ceiling, I mean, I'll let you guys kind of use your imaginations here a little bit, but there is a way to get up there that doesn't involve getting up there on foot, and do with that what you will. But that items like that allow you to traverse in special ways, that's what I would consider a big part of the itemization situation. And abilities that allow you to traverse in special ways. There is a way to get up into that part of the dungeon through an item type, and also an ability. And I'll leave it at that. So that's box number one. If you guys are wondering why I keep doing this, by the way, it's triggering anybody, it's because for almost a year now, we're close to a year now, it's one of the first things I confessed on stream is that my glasses are broken. I still have not replaced them yet. And I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. Let's see. It's okay, Joppa. Joppa Vosh, yeah. Yeah. No, I don't need a glasses fund. No, that has nothing to do with it. It is a laziness problem, chat. It's a laziness problem. I I did go to the doctor to get my eyes checked and kind of get an updated prescription for new glasses. I kid you not. I don't even know why I'm saying these kinds of things on stream. I kid you not. I left the prescription there somehow, and I need to go back and ask for another one and then go and pick out glasses. And I just haven't done that. So anyway, I apologize if it's triggering, but it is what it is. And I don't think I'm going to do LASIK because the idea of having like eye flaps just, you know what I mean? I can't handle the eye flaps. I need flapless eyes. Now, I've heard rumors, legends, myths, you might say, of a procedure that does not require the creation of eye flaps. And that's something that I'm open to, but I think it's also pretty darn expensive. So, yeah, I don't know. I might, yeah, PRK. There you go. PRK's flapless. There you go. You have sellotape? Yeah, I just keep, as long as we've got scotch tape on hand somewhere in the house, this earpiece that is broken and loose and has to be taped on, you know, it works. And that's my problem. If it works, then it works. And I'm just, you know what I mean? I've tried super glue. I have, but super glue tends to like degrade. I don't know. It just doesn't hold it as well as the tape does. Is there going to be a wipe? There will be a wipe when we launch the 1.0 version of the game. That is the only guaranteed wipe. That is still quite some time away. But it has to be said that because we're still in development, there is the potential that we would need to wipe at some point before then. But I none of us want to. It's only as a last resort. And I don't expect that to happen. Again, unless it's just absolutely something catastrophic happens and we have to. But don't ask me what that would even look like because I don't know. So that's the best answer. Yes, we will be wiping when the game launches 1.0. We are going to try not to wipe before then. Jindashi, I mean, yeah, approximately, roughly. Vikic, thank you for the raid, my friend. Good to see you, man. Welcome in, Raiders. What's up, Terror Skull? Goat, good to see you. Good to see you. Azurx TV, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. Sorry I missed that. Thank you, thank you. What did I miss? I missed something. What? What did I miss? I don't know what I missed. Joppa, my guild and I have been hunting T-ducks in the Cheeto Plains, Sundivine Grazers in Eastern Plains. Got it. It seems odd that they have no eyes, make no sounds, and have no abilities. We call them T-ducks because they look like a T-Rex crossbred with a duck. Tradition to rename them Turducken and have an ability called Jurassic Quack that rivals Waylay to really create a fear of this noble creature. That was beautiful. I don't know if you meant it to be that way, but that read beautifully. That had an almost, I don't know, poetic tone to it. In a different environment, in a different setting, I might have even gotten emotional reading that. As for the request, they don't have eyes because they don't need them. They use silent quacks as a form of echolocation, which also is why you don't hear them. And they don't have any abilities because they do not exist on the physical plane. So, you know what I mean? Hmm? No ETA. I don't have an ETA at Coldfire. Oh, and also your question about Mana Boomerang. I keep forgetting to answer that. Yes, that ability is still planned. It's a little bit more like it's something that. What's a good example? It's something that we're going to need some programmer time to get working correctly. So it's not something that like Mark or I can just go in and get set up right now. So it's still waiting its time, but yeah. What level range will BRK be? You guys keep asking me questions about level range, and I don't want to answer because I don't want to spoil it. Like, you know what I mean? There's this whole sense of arrival thing where you get somewhere and you're like, where am I? What is this stuff? Can we fight it? I don't know. And then you've got that one, person in your group that just runs in anyway, dies, and you realize, no, we can't fight these things. But if I tell you on the stream, then you won't need to go there to find out. Now, you might be thinking, well, you told us what level range this stuff is, and I did. You're right. But the difference, in my mind, is that this area is important in its specific level range because of the need right now for this particular level range. And so being able to say, hey guys, we hear you. And this Lost Orc encampment is a little bit too long overdue. But it's coming, and it's gonna fill that, It's also not a new area. That's another piece of it too. So Black Rose Keep, the first time you guys get in there, that's gonna be like kind of a whole new experience. So I guess it's always safe to ask anyway, just because you never know when I might answer. But yeah, for that one, I'm gonna not. Okay, then can we highly recommend that BRK start at level 17? Make what at least 3 times bigger? What? What? Better shaman spells after level 20. I've heard some rumblings about that. Heard some rumblings. So back to the horizontal question. Beyond that itemization, there's also the mastery system might come to mind. But, the mastery system, I think, could be argued to be, while it is kind of it's a pre and a post max level system. You're gaining mastery points as you level up. Because you get a mastery point every time you level, you're going to have points very early on to start spending on your abilities. So it is, I think, most intrinsically a vertical progression system. But it is something that you will still be doing post max level once you hit that point. To me, the biggest horizontal systems in Pantheon are going to come down to perception and lorecraft, if you will, like finding out things in the world, digging into things in the world, looking to discover things related to the lore and the story and the events and the happenings and things like that. So as perception, as lore, as the pings and the interactable objects in the world and all those things become more prevalent, that will be a big part of what I could see people doing just to do it without any thought towards I need to be leveling up or anything like that. That's going to be a completely horizontal thing. And if we continue, on the track that we are right now in terms of kind of the plan for it, then becoming a keeper, like once we get a little bit further along in the perception system integration, there will be a quest that you have to do to become a keeper to be able to access any and all of this perception stuff, to get lore pings, to get, be able to interact with, a lot of these different objects. Like all that stuff kind of unlocks for you once you decide to become a keeper. So that system is meant to sit very closely to crafting as like an alternative, additional progression-based system where you become better at perceiving things, you become better at investigating things, and your insight gets stronger, and you're able to, unlock areas or have conversations with NPCs that provide access to certain things, and there's a whole kind of trajectory there. Crafting, harvesting, that's obviously another big one. So just roaming the world looking for rare harvestables to sell or to use, in your own crafting or whatever. That'll be a big part of it. Climbing and swimming are both going to play a really big role in that. Black Moon Zero is about to crash. Crazy lag. Really? Hold on. So I'm reading some work messages too, real quick. We've got a really cool POI that we're working on right now in Eastern Plains. Can't wait for you guys to see it. we've got some fixes coming up soon as well. Well, I shouldn't say soon. I should say fixes in the works. I don't know what an ETA is, not to know how soon it's necessarily going to be, but to kind of pretty fundamentally address some of the server lag stuff. Okay, I posted a message internally just to make sure somebody's taking a look at it. DDMAC, yeah, that's the intention, yeah, is that they would exist as 3 spheres of progression to engage with, yeah. The shared world is beautiful, but when a streamer or YouTuber releases a video and says X spot is the best XP per hour, yeah, I mean, you know, I don't think you can get away from that in today's day and age. In today's day and age, back when I was a young whippersnapper, I don't know if you can, whether it's shared or not. I mean, wasn't I reading some drama related to like PoE 2 where they gave like a pre-release copy to somebody that was under like a pretty heavy embargo and ended up anyway still releasing like guides or at least like getting them ready so that on day 1 they could just like throw them all up there. And I mean, it's just instantaneous, like Extra Life. Yeah, that's what it was. That's right. And you know, I don't know. I don't know there's a way around that. But so the perception system, that third sphere that I was telling you about, when it comes to like experience per hour or where this thing drops or like how to do this quest step by step, that's going to be there. We do plan, just so you guys know, when 1.0 comes around, we're going to make some tweaks and changes. We're going to kind of juggle things around a little bit and just, you know, do a little bit to try and walk some of that back, you know, with what is kind of discovered during EA. Not everything, of course, but some things. But the cool thing about perception, and we can talk about this more tomorrow when we go back over the storyline we were working on, but the way we've got it set up is to be based on a very intricate combination of flags that your own specific character has, based on a combination of lots of different things: who you've talked to, what NPCs you've killed, what items you've looted, what items you have on your person, what items you have in your bank, faction levels, quests that you've completed, and in some cases, things that happen as a combination of several different flags. And so the goal with this system is to try and like obfuscate so that you don't even know, in every case, why certain things are happening. But you just know as you play the game that this combination, this culmination of different things you've done on your character have created this moment that's happening to you, where now this NPC is, you know, they have a special dialogue option that you don't even realize is special until you say something about it and someone's like, oh, well, I didn't say that to me. And then you post about it or you start talking about it and everyone's like, I didn't see that. And then it's like, well, how do you unlock that dialogue option? Nobody knows, because there's no way to really necessarily track. I'm not saying it won't, you know, in years' time, some of these things slowly will be figured out, but the way that the system is built is to try and protect it from spoilers, to try and obfuscate some of the mechanisms and combinations of things that happen. And that's also part of the experience and part of the immersion of the game. Is now, some cases you'll know because the NPC will say something about it. They'll reference something on purpose to kind of give you that sense of, oh, wow, it's because I talked to this person, you know, a month ago and had this conversation with this NPC, and now I've my first time on this part of the world, and apparently because I did that, now this is happening. And you'll know that because of how it's all laid out. But in other cases, you won't. And in a third even case, you'll know, but you'll sleep on it. Like you'll sleep on what you did, even though when it finally connects, you'll realize what you did. And all of that can serve to kind of delay how spoilery things get. Because the goal with being a keeper and the goal with this whole system is not necessarily to min-max it or to have, there's not really like it's about who you are. It's about what you do. And in fact, not knowing, but more just feeling your way through your progression and journey as a character, making decisions, doing things just on instinct. That's the outcome is the outcome. And, you know, you don't necessarily want to be emulating someone else's outcome. Yeah. Break wind in front of a certain NPC, new dialogue option. Boom. Bam. Real time. In the moment. I'm the Waking Dude, Desert Punk, Cyanide, Jime, OG, Artria TV, Bewees, Mojumbo, Kabak, Ethins, sorry, Nostradamus, Diodon, Arrival, Civisound, Bombcharu, Dirtos, Hackerai, and Mr. Slurms. Thank you all so much for the follows. Thank you for being here and hanging out. Do we have an ETA on when monks will visually look like monks? Not yet, but it's getting closer. There's actually been a lot of like art updates. Let's see. Okay. Voight with the Prime, Cybus Sound with the Prime, Orfeo with the Prime subs. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you. Hackerai, hey Joppa, I just wanted to say that I have looked for a very long time for a new game. I believe I found that in Pantheon. I don't know if you hear or read this enough, but I truly appreciate the work you have all put into this wonderful game. Can't wait to see where this goes from here. I only wish I would have known about this game much sooner. Hackerai, thank you. Thank you so much for that message. It is really good and encouraging to hear. That is really, really, really cool to hear. Thank you, man. Nick Lolfay, yes, it is still the design. It is still the design. One of the best things about classic era MMOs was the way that it allowed for multiple groups to exist together in proximity, and how often it allowed for higher and lower level players to exist together in proximity. And again, going back to I feel like it's like lodged in my brain. I keep wanting to say the name wrong. It's Kungan, right? Am I correct? Okay. That was one of my favorite moments. Thank you. It's Kungan, Jeppo. Sorry, I had a couple of flashbacks of some of the ways my name's been pronounced over the years. Anyway, one of my favorite moments from that stream was in the same general time where that hole's in the ceiling and all that. But what happened, what actually precipitated that moment was, you know, Kungan's in there, they're keeping track of everything that's going on around him, and all of a sudden somebody flies through that hole in the ceiling and then darts around the corner running really fast, like at high speed. So they're, you know, and that alone, plus the gear that they were wearing, it was clearly a higher level character coming from somewhere that, you know, there was no idea, like how, like there was no clear sense of like how they got up there or what that even was. But I remember listening to him say like, oh, that's a higher level player. What the heck is that? Like in the context of the moment with everything going on. And it was this perfect representation of like, oh my gosh, that's it. Like it's happening. Like that's what we've been wanting to see. Like shared dungeons, non-instanced, higher and lower level players in the same place, where the higher level players, like, I get to feel cool and prestigious because I'm up here flying past these plebs. And then the lower level players are like, what? Like, I want to do that. What just happened? Where is this person coming from? Where are they going? Why are they moving so fast? Like all these questions of like, how do you, where, how? And it creates this like, this wholesome intrigue that just sets the tone for like how all this is supposed to be. So yeah, the camp areas, the experience areas, the POIs, they're meant to feel large enough. There'll be some exceptions, some that are smaller, but on the whole, they should support multiple groups. And then in many cases, we want to have higher and lower level players together. The Black Rose Keep dungeon that we have coming up, that's going to be another really good example of like a very large range of players that can be there doing different things. I mean, even just some of what you see in Halnir Cave gives you an idea of some of the low end aspects of Black Rose Keep, because you've got the Black Rose miners and, you know, the crew bosses and stuff down there mining, and that tunnel down that hallway that actually leads into Black Rose Keep. So Halnir Cave actually connects subterraneously to Black Rose Keep. So once all that's opened up, it'll all kind of make sense. But like we're trying to design around that, or trying to design that into existence. Hey, the boss guy. Mal RPG, thank you so much for the 5 gifted. Thank you. That's awesome. Name an NPC named Joppa who confuses character classes or something. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Good old Joppa. Joppa. I remember that's what Jim Lee called me on that stream with Brad, was Joppa. Joppa Varsh. Joppa Varsh. Hey, you there, Joppa Varsh? Should I buy this? I'm currently playing Myth of Empires, so not scared of the grind. Yeah, Jindashi, that will be in the game. That is Black Rose Keep. Yep. Thoughts on the Dire Lord? I feel right now you're going to nerf the class, but then again, without shields, plate armor, and limited weapons, I feel the balance might be where you want the class at. Why do you feel like I'm going to nerf? Why do you feel like it's going to get nerfed? Wait, are you a developer that just hesitated when I asked if you should buy this game? Yeah, I did hesitate because I am a developer. So my hesitation is in of course, I'm going to say respond in a certain way. I stopped myself from responding because I wanted people, consumers who are playing the game to respond. I didn't stop because I was like, no, you shouldn't buy it or anything like that. I would love for you to buy it. I would love for you to play it. And maybe subconsciously I hesitated because I don't know what Myth of Empires is. So if Myth of Empires is like a card-based game where you know what I mean? Well, yeah. So let's be real. Yes, I think you should buy it. If you refund it if you decide you don't like it within 2 hours, you can refund it and move on. But not knowing anything about your gaming history, are you a fan of MMORPGs? That would be, one question to ask. Or do you enjoy MMORPGs? This is a classically spirited. It's a classic-like, so it's built very much in the style of the kind of the progenitors of the MMORPG genre. So it's pulling primarily from EverQuest as its main inspiration, but then also classic World of Warcraft, some DAOC, Dark Age of Camelot, and some other. So it's a little bit more punishing. It's a little bit more socially focused. Needing to interact with and rely on other people. There's not a lot of hand holding. It's also early in development. We're still technically in an alpha state, so there's going to be some unfinishedness and some jankiness here and there. So yeah. New old school MMORPG, yes sir, that's it. Or yes ma'am. A rough ETA on Druid's release? Yeah, there you go. Self-train, nice. Out of combat regen needs buffed. How many of you guys are aware that when you sit down to rest, that the longer you rest, the longer you stay in an uninterrupted resting state, the faster you will regen? Are you guys all aware of that? Okay. Some of you weren't, so good. That's good. Yeah, so the way it works is the longer you stay resting, the more the ticks will replenish. So you'll notice when you first start resting, when you first sit down, once you wind down and actually start resting, it'll be really slow. But then after a few seconds, the ticks will get a little bit bigger, and they'll get a little bit bigger, and they'll continue to get bigger until you stand up. And the point of that is, part of the pacing of the game. So it's meant to be a little slower overall, but it's also meant to kind of create some tactical strategy around when you stand up. Do I really want to stand up and break my resting state. So it's just it's just one of those little like tactical elements. And if you weren't aware of it, then I'm glad that you are now, because it's good to know. Oh yeah, RKG. I mean, guys, it's my pleasure, my honor, my joy to do this. Like, it's really cool to be able to connect with you guys around the game, the community. I mean, it's just as cool for me, truly. That's the best part about being a game developer to me, is, you know, now being able to do things like this, connect with you guys. But like in the past, when we were doing much more, our testing sessions were much more rare. It was always like Christmas, you know, the night before, the day before a test session, because that meant we could get in game and watch you guys play it and talk, you know, to players who were playing the game. Like, that's the coolest thing. So just bear that in mind. It's really cool for me too. Nice keyframe. That's awesome to hear. Ooh, the group. Okay, so the loot nerf, the great loot nerf of 2025. Before I answer this question, I need to ask someone a question. Hold on. Hey, take care, Ogre. Versailles with the 10 gifted subs. Thank you so much, Versailles. Sorry, I missed that. Thank you. Zevran with the Prime. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you. CT, there is not an auction house in the game currently, and it is not something we have 100% decided on. Okay. All right. Okay. So Pantheon is not a scam MMO? I don't think so. I don't think so. What do you expect me to say to that? Like, Here's the truth, though. Here's the truth. To take this seriously for a second. Number one, and just as a general, like, I don't have mods. I probably should get mods. I think it would be a better experience for you guys if I had mods, because it would help me keep track of questions and whatnot. So maybe that day will come. But generally speaking, I don't have an issue with anybody asking anything in here. I'm not going to have a problem when people coming in asking, is Pantheon a scam? You know, why have you guys been in development for so long? There's really no combination or angle that bothers me, makes me uncomfortable, anything like that. So I just want that to be clear. I don't have an issue with it. I would ask that you guys try not to have an issue with it. I mean, if somebody's getting nasty or being, you know, relentless, that's one thing. But, and the reason for that is because I said this a few streams ago, I think. I can't remember when we went into it, but one of the reasons that I feel like EA has been so important for us, for the project, is because it was getting to the point where there were so many different narratives out there about what's going on with this game, what's going on with the team. And many of those narratives had begun to shift towards, like, this is a scam. You know, this is like not going anywhere. You know, just lots of negativity. And we have made mistakes along the way that did not do us any favors either. And, you know, there's lots of things that we could have done better, could have done differently. It has taken a long time. You know, there's a little bit of truth, you know, in things like this too. But the game is not a scam. The game is not, you know, trying to do anything other than just exist, and we have to get it finished. But because those narratives exist, it's important to me that this is a place where, you know, the realities can be discussed and not just deflected or whatever. So if someone comes in here and asks, like, hey, is this a scam? My perspective is to look at it as if this person is genuinely wanting to know. And so we should genuinely answer the question based on now what you guys have actually experienced. And not just hope or copium or, you know, whatever, but what you're actually playing, what you actually see, and now what you can see ultimately this game becoming as it continues on. That's what's going to cure a lot of the misinformation. And so anyway, yeah. Focus loot nerf, sorry. Thompson, thank you for the gifted sub. $70 hours deep. Nice, Nostroth. Baydal, that's awesome. Nice. Yeah, the boss guy, you don't need to apologize either. Like, you don't. Nobody needs to apologize for comments made, anything like that. Like, I've been there with games. I get it. I have such an appreciation now for the outside looking in, inside looking out dichotomy. Like, it just, there's no need to apologize. All I've wanted, all I could ask is that anybody who's been on the fence, regardless of where you've been or how you've thought, that if you are willing to give a game a chance, you give it a chance, and you may still not like it. And then you're well within your right to say why you don't and what you don't like about it and whatnot. But I don't want anyone to ever feel like they need to apologize for I mean, it's not like there hasn't been plenty of examples of games being exactly like what a lot of people were afraid Pantheon was. There's just too many good examples of it happening. So, but from the very beginning, I have seen this as an opportunity. It's an opportunity of a lifetime for me, guys. Like, how many, I mean, seriously, how many of you would do maybe next to anything within reason, to have the opportunity to make a game like this. Like, I'm not somebody that used to be in the industry. I'm not somebody that, went to school for this stuff, not somebody that comes from like a Nepo family situation. Like, I had absolutely no connection or involvement with video games or the game. I mean, other than being an obsessed video game player, but making video games at all. So the opportunity landed on me the same way it would land on you if you're in the same place. Like, I get to do this. This is a dream come true. And why would I ever want anything other than to make the most of the opportunity? And that's been the difference, is like, I am going to do whatever it takes to make sure this thing happens. And honestly, this may be my one I told you so moment to some certain people out there. But when the decision was made to refactor this game, it was made with, I'd like to think, the wisdom and the foresight to know that this day, the day we're in right now, this EA beginning and kind of this EA period would come, and people would be playing the game. And if the game didn't run well, if it wasn't performant, if it didn't have solid stability, that's it. And so that was the main reason why we did the refactor when we did, is to make sure that this game would hold up. Even if it wasn't content complete, which it's not. Even if it wasn't feature complete, which it's not. It's stable. It's smooth. I'm hearing people comment like, man, this actually plays much better than it looked, or much better than I thought it would play. Like, it actually runs well. My character moves around smoothly. It's got good bones. And so anyway, this is a chance of a lifetime for me. I was the same way many of you would have been had you found yourself across the table from Brad McQuaid, like making a video game. Like, what? I'm very blessed. And I do not take that for granted, and I will not. It's not ultimate. I mean, I can't force Pantheon to be successful, and I can't force people to think or feel a certain way about it, but I am not going to not take advantage of this opportunity to see it all the way through. So, as much as it depends on me. So anyway, yeah. And time will prove things true. Time has a way of proving things true. So, proving intentions, proving all that kind of stuff. Time always has a way. I'm not afraid of time. If that tells you anything. The only issue I have is particle lag. Yeah. Well, and there's definitely still some optimizations to come. And I'm not trying to say that the game runs flawlessly or anything like that either. Like, there's still some improvements for sure on that front. But Jalasco, why are you streaming instead of developing and improving the game? Watching over a few days, don't think you guys have any idea what to do next. Okay, so the example that I've given before is like when you're in high school and you're going out to like a restaurant or the store or something, and you see like your teacher there just living life, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you teaching? The only box I have for you is like, you're always teaching, right? Like, you're always in your classroom teaching. Why are you here eating? So yeah, like I typically work on Pantheon anywhere from 14 to 16 hours a day on average. Because we are remote and internationally remote, I am, I have meetings very early in the morning and very late at night, depending on the people I need to speak with, and where they live and their time zones. And to be honest, the time that I would spend gaming or chilling or just, going down YouTube rabbit holes, I spend streaming. And it's an opportunity for me to even get more work done, even though it's, it's less efficient than if I'm just sitting here focused on what I'm doing. But it's something I enjoy. It's relatively relaxing to me. It gives me the opportunity to connect with the community, to answer questions, to, just keep these various things flowing. And I think communication flow is just such an important aspect of what we need and what we've needed as a team. I'm staying married because my wife is amazing. My wife is amazing. She's the reason why I was able to start working on this project in the first place, because she let me quit my job to try to compose music professionally, like a fool, like a crazy person. And then she supported me through that. She supported me through volunteering for this project, unpaid for years, because it was a dream of mine. And she's just amazing. So she is the reason why I'm able to do what I do. She like right now she wants me to be done, and I do need to be done. Because I told her this was going to be a shorter one, but are there more players on standalone versus Steam at the moment? No, there's not. Actually, the Steam numbers almost by double at peak outnumber the standalone. And a lot of that is because, remember, like, we've been at this a long time, and a lot of the people that have pledged to the game have been playing and have had access to the game for a really long time. And so for some of them, they'll hop in, here and there, check things out, hop out. And some of them are just kind of burnt out, they've spent a lot of time in the game. So, yeah, it's about a 2-to-1, I would say, at peak. But we're still growing. And that's something Black Bow was talking about earlier today. Like, it's a really interesting trend with Pantheon, because typically, games will launch, and then they will kind of, trickle off, whereas we've launched and we've just steadily grown. And so we'll see. I mean, it's just kind of a journey. We're on a journey at this point. We don't know exactly how it's going to go. Cognito Wolf, I am. Yes. I definitely am these days. Nice, Heckler. Good to hear. Yeah, the word of mouth growth has been really, really good. It's been really good. For sure. Where soloers and groups intermingle? Yes, there will. Yes, there absolutely will. Black Rose Keep is going to be a good example of that. I think there's some tweaks I'd like to make with Hangor to support some of that a little more than we currently do. And then this area that I'm working on right now actually is going to be kind of a little bit of an experiment on that front to see just how far we can push that juxtaposition. Yes, Twisted, there will be. There will also be player piloted ships as well. Undecided, Jiraku. We're still TBD on that. Where's the area I'm working on? This is the pass in between. This is like the gorge that connects Avenger's Pass to Silent Plains. Heathen Brewski, what do you want to know about the Dire? My favorite zone right now is Eastern Plains. It's a little bit because of my knowledge of what's coming in the zone. but it's also there's a visual element of it that I just absolutely love right now.